Hi folks, how are all of you? As always, a pleasure to connect and speak with you on contemporary topics to do with life and careers. And if that is an area which is of interest to you, could probably look at subscribing to this channel. We keep talking about interesting topics. And today, I picked up a very interesting topic which is probably highly relevant now and maybe in the coming couple of years. Artificial intelligence and hiring, or how do we get hired in the face of artificial intelligence tools being deployed by most organizations? A very interesting topic, and for this topic I've probably gathered these views from my informal talks with a number of HR professionals, recruit professionals and talent acquisition professionals, and also consultants and executive search professionals who are probably working in the market now and helping companies hire people. So they have a fair understanding of what the trends are and how artificial intelligence is really being deployed by most big organizations. First thing first, I think the question which most of us ask is, in case is every single organization across industry using artificial hiring? The answer is artificial intelligence tools. The answer is no. Yeah, maybe today the technology space, more companies have adopted to AI, and the non-tech space, maybe the large corporations like the Adani Group, Reliance Group, Kumar Birla Group, and such huge conglomerates have started using it. And there are also other number of technology-driven startups are also using it. So it is a mix of organizations. As of today, maybe in the Indian scenario, I would think roughly about 25% organizations have started using AI tools to hire, AI tools to intervene in the hiring process, because that is a better way to put it. AI, complete automation of hiring is not going to happen, because essentially a human interface is very important in the hiring process, particularly in a very diverse country like India. But to expedite hiring, to probably take care of the initial screening process, to probably help in the interviewing process and things like that, most of these large organizations have already deployed AI tools, and it is just a matter of time before a lot of others catch up. So the simple answer to the question is everybody using AIs? I think if you're considering employment in any of the big brand names, any of the competitive organizations, any of the top tech companies, niche tech companies, top non-tech companies, niche non-tech companies, or probably niche players across sectors like BFSI, etc., I think you need to be aware of what changes are happening there. So I thought I'll share tidbits with you which are in terms of how to get hired under AI tools. I think first thing first, how do you write your resume in the face of these AI tools? Because the initial parsing work, when I say parse is probably a terminology used to scan through every single word of your CV. So most of these resume AI tools which read hundreds and hundreds of resume in matter of split seconds are trained in terms of a model to parse CVs. So when they parse CVs, these AI tools also try and look for a narrative according to the latest technology. And what is a narrative? The narrative is how you are positioning yourself as a person who is irreplaceable and who can complement AI or make use of AI in your skill sets. So that is a kind of story you need to write in your CVs. Yeah, you can use any format. There are probably a few very strong formats of CVs which are used, but you need to really write your story in such a way that you probably are very clearly communicating that, look, I am someone who cannot be replaced by AI. Despite the advent of AI, I think my skills are going to complement the organization in this particular job front. So that is how I think that story needs to be sold. Even without AI, I always tell my candidates, tell my friends and others whom I interact with to probably consider every CV written as a storytelling opportunity. Another most important thing is, which we should keep in mind, is that I think every resume is a unique document meant only for the job you are applying for. You keep this in mind. In fact, as a matter of fact, I always point out that the definition of resume itself is that it is very customized. So every single job you apply, your resume ought to be customized, and it is all the more important with AI being deployed, and I'll tell you why. AI is fed with the job description of the role which the company wants to hire for, assuming that they are looking for a regional sales manager for a consumer goods company. AI is fed a job description, and AI keeps this the AI keeps this job description in its brain. And I spoke about parsing earlier. When it parses the CVs, it clearly looks for words which are there in this job description, and that is what is a part of using the keywords. So from now on, whenever you start applying for jobs, make sure that the maximum number of keywords which are used in the job description are a part of your CV. Believe me, if this is not the case, irrespective of whether you are a perfect fit, irrespective of whether you are good or not, irrespective of whether your competence is extremely good or not, you are not going to get shortlisted by the AI tool. That is very, very clear. And without crossing this initial AI screening hurdle, you are not going to meet with any human being in any organization. So I think you have to pay attention to this extremely carefully. Your CV ought to contain, I think, most of the keywords which are wanted in the job description. And typically job descriptions, if job descriptions are bullet points where the roles and responsibilities and sought after qualifications and competencies are written, I think it is in the order of importance. So the topmost lines mean that they are mandatory, and as you go below and below, I think these are probably desirable and not mandatory. So bear this in mind, and you make sure that every mandatory keyword which is a part of the job description has to be on your CV. That is the only way your CV is going to get shortlisted by these AI tools. Otherwise, you are just not going to cross the AI hurdle. I've been telling this, I've been harping on this again and again to most people whom I speak to, and I also now see a lot of people coming back and telling me that, look, we've sent CVs to 30-40 organizations and we are perfectly suitable for those roles, but we're not getting called for. Well, that is the reason. Maybe if these organizations are using AI tools, maybe your CVs are just going to a black hole because your CV's language and the job description's language is totally different. Yeah, you are well qualified, you have the right experience, you have the educational pedigree, you have the competencies, you have the experience, you are extremely smart. But the point is, AI doesn't understand that unless otherwise you put it in clear writing. You put it in black and white saying that, look, these are my skills and competencies and I have all the keywords which are there in the job description. If that is not the language you're writing your CV in, I think your CV is not going to be shortlisted. So that is something very, very crucial. I think that probably should be the biggest takeaway from this podcast for you. And of course, you need to probably weave these keywords within your CV in terms of writing it very well and things like that. But unless otherwise you weave most of the keywords which are a part of the job description, irrespective of whether you're a technology professional, non-tech professional, sales and marketing guy, you're an investment banker, whatever it is, I think unless otherwise the keywords are loaded in your CV in a very, very right way, in a very, very I'm saying, for God's sake, again, don't copy paste. I think it is now, I'm not saying you have to just copy paste the keywords in the job description. No, what I'm saying is you have to rewrite your CV, you have to articulate your roles and responsibilities, keeping in mind what is asked for in that particular role, and then inculcate most of the keywords, because you would have done all that because you are a suitable candidate. There's no doubt about it, and you are wanting to get into that role only because you feel you are a most apt candidate. But when you are a most apt candidate, I think for the machine to understand that you are a most apt candidate, you have to write in the machine's language, and the machine is fed to the job description. Your CV has to have the same language which the machine is using. So that is the best way to put across. So keep this in mind, and I would want every single application of you to probably cross this hurdle, because that is the best way to probably reach a human being in the organization if you want to hire. So I think that probably is, it might sound very, very rudimentary, but I think most of us, I see most people missing on this. The second thing which I probably come across with many people is, people have started using artificial intelligence tools to write your CVs, write covering notes and things like that. I think if you are someone who is practicing that, then I have a very, very important information for you, and this is very, very crucial information. Many organizations which probably are keeping communication and written skills and oral skills and etc. as a criteria for hiring are also now using artificial intelligence tools to see if you yourself have used artificial intelligence tools in writing your CV and writing a covering note. And in case organizations find it out that you're relying heavily on artificial intelligence tools to write your CV and write your covering notes, I think then the preference for you getting hired is almost at the bottom of the ladder. This is very, very important. I'll give you a very, very interesting anecdote which happened probably in the past few days. I had a distant friend of mine whose son applied for a role in PayPal, which is a large technology organization based in Chennai, and this person got an initial mail from somebody in talent acquisition in PayPal saying that his profile is a perfect fit, and whether he'd want to consider a particular role in PayPal, and calling for his resume. What this person did is not very shocking, but it is something which most of us do. This person used the mail which came from the HR guy as a prompt, and used ChatGPT or some similar tool and copy pasted that mail from the HR and said, you draft a reply for this, and Pat came the reply from ChatGPT. He copy pasted it in the mailbox and attached his profile and sent. And you won't believe me, this person did not hear from that particular HR guy, despite the fact being that this technical candidate is eminently suitable for the role which that HR guy had sought applications for. And when I probably tried doing some spade work in terms of why that could have happened, I think I learned this particular fact that people who are using AI tools to draft mails and things like that, to brush up their CV, to give a cosmetic look to their CV, I think they are suffering the problem, because many organizations have started using tools to really assess whether you are relying on artificial intelligence tools to write your CV, write your covering note. And what happens is, if communication skills are a vital criteria for the role, and the organization thinks that if this person is not able to even write his own CV and write his own covering note, will he be really a good communicator for the role in which we are hiring for? Gone. I think you immediately your application is rejected. So yeah, you can sparingly use, probably you can draft an email and ask ChatGPT or any other tool to refine it in a better context and things like that. But I would actually say, if you are applying for big brand names, I think you try and avoid that, because this will become a trend now. Most companies which already have invested a lot in AI tools will very clearly make use of those same AI tools to see whether candidates are relying on AI to send in their application and things like that. So this is another very important takeaway which I wanted to give you. I'm sure you understand the importance of what I say, and I really wanted to highlight these facts to you, because this is now going to be a big trend across any organization, because I think every organization now is seeing artificial intelligence tools as a very powerful tool to expedite the hiring process, because it cuts almost 30-40% of the human intervention, the initial screening process of hundreds and hundreds of applications, bringing down 100 applications to 10 suitable applications is now done by these AI tools. And there are a number of proprietary HR AI tools in the market today. Organizations are relying on that. The next reliance on AI also is for the initial interview process, which many of these companies have started. There are one set of questions which are fed into the AI tools, like for example, tell me something. Typically, whatever the initial earlier on, whatever the HR executive or the HR person did a telephonic interview with you, it is all now, I think, gradually getting automated. So there are about 10 questions, like for example, what do you think your strengths and weaknesses are? Why do you think you're suitable for this job? Are you really good at what you do? So there will be 10-15 questions like this. You can probably resort to our Google to probably find out what are these 10-15 artificial intelligence driven interview questions which are used by these automated tools. So these automated interviewing tools are deployed. They'll just send you a link, and once you click on this link, I think these automated questions will be asked, and you need to probably give your answers. In this, I think if you have the list of these questions, I think you should start. You should also practice answering these questions when you're probably free or when you're probably preparing for the interview, and make sure that every single answer of yours does not exceed a duration of roughly about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Just because it is an artificial intelligence tool, I think don't think you have the luxury of time, because what is also being assessed in these standard template questions is how good are you in terms of communicating in a very, very effective way, in a crisp way, within a time constraint. So every answer has to be within about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Just because it is an artificial intelligence tool driven interview, don't keep talking for hours and hours together, or 15-20 minutes, because the entire purpose of your initial round will be defeated, and that again will become a reason for your rejection, because these artificial intelligence tools also take no nonsense. You have to be very, very crisp in the way you're answering. And I'm told now there are also advanced tools which are now capable of assessing things like the sincerity in your tone and tenor, whether you're really speaking from the heart, what does your body language reflect, and things like that. So these are some of the very, very crucial interfaces which unless otherwise you cross these interfaces, you will not reach a human being in any role which might be there in any organization. Organizations have multiple roles, but they are going to religiously deploy these AI tools to make sure that they probably save a lot of time and hire the right people and weed out the unnecessary people as much as possible using the AI tools. That is the objective of these tools. These AI tools are essentially going to contribute in a big way to right-sizing the talent acquisition teams in organizations. So if there are 20 people doing the job, what the objective of the organization is in deploying these AI tools is whether they can shrink that 20 people to 3-4 people and deploy the other people elsewhere, because the pressure on hiring is also increasing. The cost of hire has to come down. So if there are 100 open positions and if there are just 5 people working on that, rather that it is better 20 people work on that, and AI takes a major part of the initial screening and things like that. So these are some of the I think tips and tricks which I wanted to share with you. I'm sure it made a lot of eminent sense for you, because as I said, in the coming days it is going to be very, very clear that I think every second or third organization to whom you send your application for will resort to these AI tools, and most of the initial screening of your CV, etc., and even the initial rounds of your interview, the telephonic interview part which was done earlier, is very, very clearly going to be AI's forte now. And if you're not familiar with these nuances, I think you lose out on getting the opportunity. There could be a lot more points which I think maybe when there is more clarity, I will probably provide more nuggets on that. But as of now, these are some of the very, very important points which I wanted to share with you. It was extremely I'm sure it was extremely informative, and I'm very happy to share this with you, because in this era of artificial intelligence, I think it is probably important for us to know how we'll be hired through these AI tools. Thanks for your time. I'll see you soon with another interesting podcast. If you thought this was useful, probably share it with your friends and colleagues, and consider liking and subscribing to this channel. Thank you. I'll see you soon.